The next couple of sections have to do with area and volume. Those are the last two chapters of the book that we are interested in. And so you can see again, it's kind of good because it's just a review of all the formulas. In the past, normally we put formulas on the test, but now all the formulas you have to know. All right? So there will be no formula supplied. All right? Your job is to remember all of the formulas. All right? So again, let's talk about the area of a parallelogram. Formula of area of a parallelogram is just what? Who remembers? Base times height. Perfect. So a parallelogram is just base times height. All right? And then the triangle would be what?
1/2 base times height.
That's right. It would just be half. All right? Half of base times height. Very simple. All right? Now, it seems real easy, but sometimes you're going to have to use some trig. Sometimes some piece will be missing. All right? So you'll have to use different techniques to find the missing side. Yes.
Are we ever going to have a quiz or something on the class?
Yeah, it's Friday. Our quiz is going to be on 7, 8, 1, and 2. All right, 10, 7, 8, 1, and 2.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yes. All right, so it's interesting. Believe it or not, most people have trouble with number 1 because they don't really know what the base is.
It's 48. No, it's 18.
The base is only 18.
Oh, we do share it.
Right, so again, essentially what I want to remind you of is that it would be considered the base. Now, to draw the height to the base, just to review with you something, the height is always the perpendicular distance to the base. Does everybody see what I'm doing here? There's no perpendicular, right? So believe it or not, the perpendicular falls where? On the outside. All right? So a lot of kids on standardized tests, they put in this extra number right here to try to throw you off. All right? It's never the length that's outside the triangle. It's never the length that's on the outside of the triangle. All right? No, we don't need to do any of that. We just have to say A equals what?
1/2 times 18.
Exactly. And then we would say what?
What if we have 9?
I said 18. Which would be what? Oh,
108 millimeters.
yes, and we would need to do 108, and then you put the right units. Remember, you always measure area with squares. Yes, ma'am.
But isn't the height of the shaded part the same?
Okay, so good. Very good question. And actually, that's one of the hardest SAT questions that I've ever worked on, is when they give you a height. How many heights are there to every triangle?
A lot. 1. 3.
There are 3. Thank you. There are 3. So what you're asking me is a good question. This right here, please listen, this is the height to this base. You see that? Whereas if I did this could also be considered a base, right? If I knew what this was. Everybody see that? So that could also be considered a height. All right? Now, your final one would be considered this right here could be considered the base. And then the height, if you recall, would be, again, on the outside. Because look what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to draw the perpendicular, but guess what? I can't find it. So that's about the perpendicular. And I think we did this earlier. All 3 altitudes are called the orthocenter. Where they meet is the orthocenter. So every triangle has 3 heights. All right, you just have to make sure that you pick the height that corresponds to the what? To the base. And I tell kids the easy way to remember to do that is go to the perpendicular symbol and draw arrows. and it points to the base and it points to the height it's supposed to be using. All right, that's a good way to do that. All right, that points to the base and the height. All right. However, in this case, 10 would not be the height, 10 would not be the base, but 18 would be the base. All right, little things now. And here's what normally happens. I tell kids it's easy, it's simple, just 1/2 base times height. And then I throw problems at them where the height is missing and you got to figure out the height. It becomes a little bit more challenging. All right? Yes. If you weren't listening to this whole lecture, yes, it would be 28. But if you were listening to the lecture, you would know that the base is 18, not 28. All right? Now again, Joe, I do understand what you're saying, but listen to me now. All right? What I want you to do is, I'm going to erase this because I do think this is important, and I do think this is on a lot of standardized tests. So right now, here's what I want to do. All right? Just to show you that it's meaningful. I'm going to get rid of this right here. All right? And I just want to show you what I mean by that. So you can see how easily you are tricked. All right? I'm now going to try to draw the height. Right? However, you have to remember that the height is to the base. You see what I'm saying here? But staying within this length of 18, there is no right angle. Do you agree with that? So I have to draw it outside. All right? That is the height that corresponds to that triangle. You agree with me on that? The base does not change. The base does not change. All right? You don't extend this out. All right? Now, the other thing I'm going to explain to you that should help you even if you're like still having a little doubt is this right here would be the area of the whole triangle now, right? So, did they say this was 8, or what was the height here originally?
12.
12, and this was 10. So now look at the logic now, Joe. What would be the base of that triangle? The whole triangle. 28. And what would the height be? So that area right there cannot be the same as that area right there. Do you agree with that now? All right. So again, that's a pretty good example of what I'm trying to tell you. The area of that complete triangle, that right triangle, would be half of 28 times 12. All right. Not the same as that. All right. Hopefully that made sense. Okay. So over here. All right. I need a base and a height, right? So everybody's going to write down area equals base times height. Area equals 5.5. Now I have some problems. So what's the height?
It would be 2 radical.
You're awesome. Thank you very much. Super smart. 2 radical 3.
I would do that.
2 radical 3. So your area would be what?
It's because it's 30, 60, 90.
Brilliant. All right. Again, opposite the 30 is half the hypotenuse. All right. Opposite 30 is half the hypotenuse. Now, why is this section all of a sudden a little bit harder? Because you have to remember the rules. All right. This is the 30. Opposite the 30 is half the hypotenuse. All right. Then the height would be 2 radical 3. Any questions with that? All right.
10 feet squared.
Yes, square feet. Thank you. All right. Number 3. Here we go. Now again, the base
45.
times height. Here we go. So the base of that is 14. Now the hard part. This is 7, right?
So around 2.
That's 7. Over 2. No, it's 7. 7.
Remember, are you getting
No, it's radical 2.
larger or smaller? Smaller, so we have to divide. So this would be 7 divided by radical 2.
So around 2.
And then you'd have to rationalize it again, guys. Thank you. So that'd be 7 radical 2 over 2. That represents the height.
So 14 times 7 radical 2 over 2, which is the same as, I think, 49 radical 2, and then go ahead and write the units, yards squared. Go.
Why was it 7 radical 2? 49 radical 2.
What?
Why is it 7 radical 2 over 2 instead of 7?
To go from the hypotenuse to the leg, you divide by radical 2. It's a 45, 45,
But
9.
on the other side of the triangle. Oh, okay. I see.
All right, thank you. Number 4, same principle.
Then you divide by
Divide by radical 2. So 22 radical 2 over 2, which is what? 11 radical 2. Everybody good with that? Yep, times 26, which would be 286 radical 2 inches squared. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Multiplying by 11, guys. What's a quick way to multiply by 11?
multiply by 10 and then add.
26. That's not a bad way to do it. Also, remember the rule for multiplying by 11. Write the first number down, add the 2 digits, write the last number down. Always works. 286.
Whoa.
So 26 times 11. Write the first number down. Add these 2. Write the last number. So let's say if I said, very important, 3, 4, 2, 1 times 11. 3, 7, 6, 3, 1.
So write the first number down,
Add all of the digits.
No, add
Last.
Consecutive digits.
The last.
So the 3 goes first. Add 3 and 4. Add 4 and 2. Add 2 and 1.
Simple.
And right.
Wow.
Why? Why have you been withholding this information?
Yeah, seriously, why have you never learned this?
I've actually told you that many times.
No, you haven't.
You just were not
Not
interested.
our class.
Remember when you were little bitty babies, I used to tell you lots of things. All right? You still need help in your chair.
It's 3.4
All right.
times 3.4.
3.4 times 3.4. What is that?
11.56 meters squared.
11.56 square meters. Any objections? All right. So moving. All right. Here we go. Help me out. 166.5. Double check it.
166.
Kilometers.
All right. Very easy. Very easy. All right. Moving over here. Number. Now, be careful with number 7 again. They try to draw it a little awkwardly.
15. Yeah. So the base is 15
So it'd be-
and the height is 15 radical 2. 30 radical 3.
Well, now-
53, yeah.
This right here would be 15, agreed?
Yeah, 15 radical.
And then this would be 15 radical 3.
And then the other one would be
Is
5.
the line that they drew
Yes, perfect.
And that little line that's
All right. So now we have the area is equal to what?
20 times 15 radical
20 times 15 radical 3. Which we would say is 300 radical 3 centimeters squared.
How do you know that's the height?
Because they drew it as the height.
no.
15 radical 3 is the height. Do you agree or not?
Oh, we're using 20 as the base.
Yeah, and again, that's actually a pretty good point too, because if I draw this down here, does everybody see that now? That's also a height,
Yeah, that's what I was.
but has a different measure from the other height. You agree with that?
Yeah.
Everybody okay? All right. Number 8. Don't be
Base is
confused.
17.
Right.
1/2 17.
Yes. So again, they're trying to throw you off here a little bit.
Why did they
17 times 17 is
So
289,
you're
right?
144.5.
But you divided by.
So 140.
No,
only 144.
Everybody okay?
I just
Why
don't-
did they put that?
Say it. Come on.
I don't get how, like, especially on like number 7, how you know that that's the height.
Okay. So again, the height is the perpendicular distance between the two bases, right? So from here, watch, I'm trying to draw the height. It's perpendicular at that exact. You with me? Now, the reason it's causing trouble is because to me, it would have been better to draw what? To draw the height from here somewhere down here, which would be to me about right there.
That's the thing.
You with me? It's not the same height.
No, but
It's a different height, but it is a height. Do you agree with me on that?
What are you
All
going
right.
to say, answer?
height would-
Yes, and again, that's very true. All right. So if I wanted to look, this was an SAT question. I kind of want to show you because I've seen it even on the new SATs. Look right here, guys. Everybody, look up. I want to know what is this height right there.
I know how to do that.
How do I figure that out?
I know.
So
What would it be?
the sides are complementary. So
Because there's two nights.
What is it? Go. Yeah, I'm
Okay,
asking.
so you can look at parallelogram out of that.
No, I'm just asking. You should be able to just look at that and say,
Oh.
obviously,
Oh.
the
Oh,
height
it's 10 radical
is.
3.
Oh.
It's 20 radical 3.
What is it?
And
10 radical 3.
I do.
Obviously, it's 10 radical 3.
I knew
Because
that.
that other angle is also
Right.
60.
So listen to me now, please.
Oh, it's complementary.
Again, very important. Look here for just a quick second and listen to what I'm saying because it's very easy, but it's also very difficult. All right. Now, does everybody agree that base times height gives you the area? Right. So now, please watch with this and see if you understand what I'm saying. Area is equal to base 1 times h1, which is equal to base 2 times what? h2. See, they have different bases,
You can do cross.
and the bases are attached to the what? The heights. All right, so listen to what I'm saying. So we found the area of the parallelogram by multiplying 20 times 15 radical 3. Well, now I asked about the missing height. So the base of the missing height would be what? 30 times the second height. That's how easy it was. Again, that's why somebody asked me earlier, will the area always be the same? Of course, if you use the right what? Base and the height. All right, if you use the right base and height, the areas will have to come out to be the same. Quick.
Did you also figure it out because the 60 degree angle correlates with the one in the top left?
Yeah,
So it's
actually,
30, 60.
that's a very good way of looking at it. So if I made that 57, it wouldn't apply, right?
Yeah.
So again, we'd have to use trig, but right now he's 100% correct. He could have just made that 60. Agreed? And then that would still be 10 radical 3, which is maybe how some of you did that.
That's how I did it.
Yes.
I understand the 30, 60, 90 principle, but what I don't understand is like when it's like 15 over radical 3. I don't know.
Okay, so it just depends on if you're getting larger or smaller, right? So this is how I try to show you. All right, this is the hypotenuse. Do you agree?
Yeah.
So I'm going to the small side, so that means I had to divide by 2. Now, when I'm going to a larger side, I would have to multiply. So to go from the 30 side to the 60 side, you had to multiply by radical 3. You hear me? So now the question is, if I'm going from a larger side to a smaller side, I would have to divide. Right, so in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, let's review real quick. All right, if this is my 30, 60, 90, and I said this was 9, all right, that is opposite the 60 degree. So to get to the shorter side, I know I'm going to have to divide. Well, a radical 3 is involved, so I have to divide by radical 3. So this is 9 divided by radical 3. But then again, we said whatever, the mathematicians got together and said no radicals in the denominator, for whatever reason. So now you have to multiply both sides by square root of 3, which is 9 radical 3, over 3, which is 3 radical 3.
Wait, shouldn't that be opposite? If the short leg is half hypotenuse.
Yeah, well, again, you got my point. Thank you. All right, this is This is the 60-degree side. Do you agree with that, Ryan? And I'm going to my 30-degree side, so I would divide by radical 3.
And if you were going to your 90-degree side, you would multiply by 2.
That's exactly correct. So I always try to tell kids, remember, getting larger or smaller tells you whether you're multiplying or dividing. Then you just have to remember are you multiplying by 2 or multiplying by radical 3?
So if I'm getting larger, I'm dividing them very small.
Well, listen to what you just said. If I'm getting larger, if you're getting larger, you have to multiply.
But you're starting within your divide.
Right? All right. Okay, moving forward now. All right, because we have things to do here. All right, the height of a parallelogram is 10 feet more than its base. If the area of the parallelogram is 120, find the base and height. So again, all I'm saying is this is just a good review of your algebra. And your algebra test will be coming up soon enough. All right, we're going to be taking standardized tests. You have to know how to do this. All right, so your area is base times height, correct? And it says that the height is 10 feet more than the base. So the base is x,
X times X plus 10.
and then it would be x plus 10, and then that equals 120.
And then
Right.
X, 2x, X squared plus 10x equals.
Good. X squared plus 10x equals 120.
You do your thing where you do the quadratic.
X squared plus 10x minus 120 equals 0. And now, are there any factors of 120 that make 10? Are there any factors?
Like,
12.
yeah.
12 and 10. No,
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, 12 and 10 is 120, but it doesn't make 10.
to get the quadratic formula.
Yeah, so here we go. Now, again, we talked about this, all right? So we're going to do it both ways real quick.
Negative
All right.
x square root.
There you go. So you have to know this for all standardized tests. The Pythagorean or the quadratic formula is always on the test.
Negative b plus or minus the square root
of b squared minus 4ac.
Yeah, 4ac over.
All right, you got to know that. You got to know that. You got to know that. You got to know it.
Like, memorize it.
All right. So here we go. So the opposite of b would be negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 100 minus 4 times 1 times negative 120 all over 2. So x equals negative 10 plus or minus the square root of, I believe that would be 580 all over 2.
Is it always going to be a positive for this? Because we're doing this.
Right.
Yeah,
So we know the square root of 580, all right, we're going to leave out the negative, all right? So it's now going to be negative 10 plus, now 580,
That's 570.
Is it 570 or 580?
No, it's 580, but I'm saying negative 10 plus 580. 580.
No, stop talking.
You're right.
All right, here we go. So I need to break down 580. 4 goes into 580. So it'd be 2 radical 145. Right?
Wait, is it number 2?
Is everybody okay with that?
Do you divide?
Yeah, over 2.
Do you divide the 580 by 2? Oh no, you had to divide to the right.
Now we simplify that. So it'd be
Negative 5.
negative 5.
Radical 175.
This is a lot of.
Wait, why is it?
Negative 5 plus radical 145. Come on now, I need you to review this. What?
Why is it negative?
Because we reduced by 2.
Why can't we just
We divided by 2. 10 divided by 2 is
Why did you
negative.
divide if it was plus 2?
If it doesn't
Negative 10 over 2. Oh, you divided all of it and then you cross those 2.
Yeah, 2 goes into both
That
of them.
doesn't seem like it follows the.
All right. Now, I want you to quickly do for me negative 5 plus the square root of 145. Do that.
7.5. 7.041.
All right, 7.041.
I got
Double check that for me.
04159.
Okay, now what I want to do now is to review with you your calculator. So now take out your calculator. And type this in, x squared plus 10x minus 120. All right, please type that in. Big advantage over people who do not know how to use a calculator. All right, you got yours?
Did we just type it in?
Right.
Yeah. Where's yours at?
Mine.
School.
I put equals 0.
You don't.
X
So everybody's typing it under y1.
Oh, under Y1?
Y1, you type in x squared plus 10x minus 120.
I got this.
And now what you're doing is you're trying to find the 0. All right, you're trying to find the 0. So it's under second calc 2. Now you only care about the right 0. And then you go, remember, you go to the left of the 0, and then you go to the right of the 0,
7.041.
and it should give you the same answer.
Yep.
It should give you the same answer. All
It's
right.
such an easier
So
way
you
to
get
do
the
it.
answer.
What do I do?
You have to go to the left of the 0, and then hit enter,
I got it.
and then go to the right of the 0, hit enter, and then guess comes. I don't care how far. All right. What if I would have said exactly 1 inch? All right. Everybody get that? So now you know how to solve using the quadratic, and if you forget the quadratic, you can use your calculator.
Wait, what do I do after that?
Somebody please help him.
Just go to the left.
All right.
Whatever.
Oh, I feel so smart.
Smoking Isaac today. How's that feel?
Doesn't freaking work. Sorry. Do it during art. Do it during art. X squared plus.
No, no.
I'm tired.
Okay, question number 10. Here we go. It says the base of a triangle is half its height. So again, the two things you need,
Oh, I got it.
base and height. So it says that the base is half the height. So the height is x, the base is 1/2 x, or x over 2. It says the area of the triangle is 196. So here we go. 196
So that times that equals
is
196.
equal to 1/2 times 1/2 x times x.
What?
All right?
Wait a minute.
That makes
Oh, I
sense.
know, because it's a triangle.
So now 196 is equal to 1/4 x squared. Now before you multiply 4 times 196 in your head, you should be saying, well, I'm going to take the square root of both of them, so I really don't need to multiply them. Because 4 is a perfect square and 196 is a perfect square. So when you look at this, you should be able to say that x squared is equal to 196 times 4.
784.
Would you just listen to me for just a second?
784.
All right? So x is equal to 14 times 2, which is 28. So again, I'm not sure how many people know what is 196 times 4 again.
784. 784.
Yeah, 784. I'm not sure many people know the square root of 784 is 28. But most of you, all right, know the square root of 196 is 14, and most of you know the square root of 4 is 2.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, some do. I didn't say you.
I do that.
I said some. All right? So now 14 times 2 is what? 28. So that's the most
Oh.
efficient way
That's cool.
to do that. All right? That's the most efficient way. All right? And again, those are types of situations where you would not be able to use your calculator. All right? So now, your job is to do that and take a look at some of the ERB questions. All right? The ERB questions are important. So make sure you take a good look at those. All right? Again, hopefully you feel like this is easy, but it is a really good review of your 45, 45, 90, 30, 60, 90, and all of your area formulas. Also quadratic and using your calculator.
So for quadratics, I don't have to do them anymore. I can just do this.
Yes.
But I don't know how to do it.
If they let you use a calculator. Right? That's the hard part. All right, get to work. Lots to do.